Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the For the Love of the Guitars podcast. That's a mouthful. I'll just say FTL podcasts from now on. Um, so before we get started, I'm going to do a couple brief introductions here. First and foremost, we have my wonderful co-host, the fretboard foreman, the J-Rig kid, the Norse god of guitars, the Ubie. Welcome, Ubie.
Oh, careful, man! I do not want Zach Wild coming after me. Let's be careful with that last one.
Oh,
Um,
you're up there.
I love every week trying to see what new names you come up for me. I really appreciate that, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just enjoying some coffee here and prepped, prepped and getting prepped and ready to have our wonderful guest here, Jeremy, aka Strings and Pucks. How's it going, Jeremy?
Doing really good. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I'm really happy to have you on. Before we kind of get started with everything, I just want to give a brief kind of rundown as to some of the little minutia. Why am I streaming this week, 2 weeks in a row, when I normally don't? And why do we have a guest? And how does that all tie into what Ubie is planning on doing, the hardest working man on YouTube Live? So it's true. So the reason is I am not ending. This is the end of season one. This is the season finale of this kind of video podcast that I have going on because I'm going to be taking a month off from the podcast due to some scheduling changes and a vacation sandwich in between. So this kind of conveniently fit to run this episode today and then take a month off. So I'll be back in, Ubi and I will be back in a month on this podcast. However, Ubi is going to start his own podcast, which kind of rolls into this one. I kind of co-opted Ubi's idea here. He graciously let me co-opt it so we could have Jeremy on. And this is kind of like I guess, a season finale for here and a pilot episode for what you're going to be introducing here in the future. Is that right, Ubi?
Yeah, pretty much. So what I'm going to do is once we get fully kind of paced into our flow here, we'll be doing the For the Love of Guitars podcast on Keith's channel on one Sunday, and the next Sunday I will be doing a interview style podcast where I'm going to talk to people in our community, our guitar community, both people who are currently creating, and I'm even going to try to drag in some of the folks who aren't actually creators yet to try to get their stories about their journeys for their guitar journeys, for musically, but also personal because of the way my channel is. It's always about embracing the suck, and part of that embracing the suck is your actual life itself because that affects your music just like anything else. Which means that for the next couple of weeks we'll be doing several of these as well. But this week we're going to do it here on Keith's stream, and my first guest that we're bringing on is Jeremy, as Keith told us, or Keith graciously introduced him. That's Strings and Pucks is his guitar channel. He also has some hockey focused content he creates as well, which is another thing that drew me strongly to him because I am also a puckhead. Now we're a little different in that I bleed green and gold still because I'm an old school Stars fan, not even green and silver. And of course Jeremy, being a Detroit Red Wings fan, he bleeds red, which you may think is normal, but it's absolutely not normal at all. So Jeremy, now that I've rambled on for forever, tell us a little bit about you getting into music in general. I mean, your start into your musical journey.
Oh, okay. So I was really, really blessed to have a mom that, and I still do, she's still around, to have a mom that would put us into music at a young age. And I started piano lessons around 6, and every choir that was available, you know, at elementary school level. Then once I got to middle school, of course, I joined band. But in choir, I started to get a chance to kind of succeed. I was doing the solo ensembles, honors choirs every year for about 6 years, and I'd tour the state with those. Started going to music camps in the summer. And at 16, piano and voice, I started playing in a coffee shop on Thursday nights, doing Billy Joel covers, Elton John covers, started
Oh,
writing
cool.
some original music. And that was really where I found my home, was playing and singing. Started to do it at church a bunch. Went to college as a vocal performance major at Western Michigan University, studying classical, opera type stuff. Then transferred because I really wanted to work in a church as a music director. If you remember the 90s, I know, Ubie, you were born. I'm not sure about Keith. But there was kind of this big movement in contemporary Christian music. They actually, like CCM, and they actually created degrees for that. So I went to school, and at 20 years old, I bought my first guitar. I had never tried playing, and the guitarist quit for the touring group that was part of my major. So with about 2 guitar lessons under my belt, I said, I'll do it. And that's when I started doing that. And I learned guitar on the road, basically, or, in the circuit of things they would do through the school. And for 15 years, I did direct a music program. I started at 23, and I was writing music. I was playing piano for the first 4 years and then moved to electric guitar, writing, soloing. Got one of my favorite Red Wings players actually brought his family to the Christmas Eve service. Got to play with him cool. It was very, very cool. And I was such a fanboy. I sat down after the set, and my wife had sat with them, and we married in 99. So we're going on 26 years this year. And, she got them settled. So I sit down, I couldn't help but look over, and he gave me the thumbs up, I totally fanboyed out after someone you love watching play hockey, gets to see you do what you do. There's a little church, only about 120 people that Christmas Eve service. But it was awesome. I had a lot of fun. Got injured in 2016. I'm on disability. I'd lost the church gig the year before that. It was just switching leadership, and the church isn't there anymore now because I left. But so I started recording. I made a studio album after I was injured in 2016. Just I had some time on my hands, and I've tried to grow my guitar learning, and now I've incorporated that into a YouTube channel. And since 2019, I've been a hockey blogger. I was hired by a site called Hockey Buzz and wrote from 2019 to 2025. And I just switched to Hockey Hot Stove, where I'm the Red Wings contributor. That's run by Bill Meltzer, really, really highly thought of writer, covers the Flyers. And, I just kind of blend those two. I love hockey. I love guitar. And on disability, you go from working 2 jobs for 15 years. You want to contribute, you want to do something, and this is what I love to do.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
So this is a guitar podcast, and I am not too familiar with hockey. However, I do want to hit on that for a second here because it's a passion of yours. Growing up, let me disclose something else. I'm 40 years old, so maybe I'm not too far behind you guys.
Oh my gosh, you've aged well, son.
I'll be 41 in a month. So, I barely grew up in the 80s, but that did allow me to play my fair share of, what was it, Blades of Steel on Nintendo.
Yes.
And me and my brother played that all the time, and then that rolled into the 2K hockey series, and Dreamcast had, man, those are fun. I always, and you're gonna love this, picked the Detroit Red Wings because they were the dominant team, and I wanted to play the best team.
Oh man,
and
I was hoping you would be a Blues fan.
No,
because
I don't like St. Louis.
I could really jump on you because I can't stand the Blues.
I don't like the Blues either. Chris Pronger, I know some names. My favorite player was Stevie Y. So.
Oh gosh, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, and then I don't. Outside
Somebody
of that,
I respectfully hate.
Oh yeah, he's a defender.
Respectfully hate Eisman.
He's like a rough guy, isn't he?
He's a center.
No, he was a centerman, and he switched to two-way. And his best hockey, well, he was injured when they won all the cups, ended his career basically on one leg. He had a surgery that just basically crammed his joints together in one
Yeah.
leg. And when they were winning cups, I don't know how he was playing so good defensively as a center, but he had to change from a scorer to a two-way center for sure.
Yeah.
But
So
no, we had some other
And that's
muscle.
go ahead.
I was about to say that's my history with hockey. I don't know,
That's awesome.
especially the video games. It's so fun to play hockey video games. I never really watched them on TV because I couldn't see the puck, and
Yes.
I guess that's one of those things that you have to watch a lot and get used to. But that's where it lies with me with the hockey thing. I don't really follow it too much outside of that. I know you're a Dallas guy,
Well,
right?
yeah, and we'll be nice since this is your podcast. We won't nerd too much on hockey. We'll try to keep it a little bit more to the guitar side, so you won't feel lost. Yeah, I mean, I'm a Dallas guy, so, and just to interject mine here, Dallas is a non-traditional hockey market, obviously. Um, so a lot of the Stars fans are would be considered maybe bandwagony type fans. I'm not. So I was a hardcore baseball fan up until 90, 91, 92 in that area. And I just got tired of the Texas Rangers beating me to death with sucking. So I gave
Oh,
up baseball and I said, I'm going to find another sport. How about let's try hockey? Fine. This is pre Norm moving the team down to Dallas, and so I don't know anything about all these. I'm looking at logos, I'm looking at teams. I'm like, North Stars, they sound kind of cool. Let's follow them. So I started following the North Stars without any preconceived notion that they were going to be moved down to
oh,
Dallas.
that's awesome, Oob.
That was super awesome for me. I was so stoked in 93 when we got them. I was like, yes, we have the team that I root for here.
I am
So
so pumped for you. That's a cool way to be a fan.
it sure is. All right, but we're also fans of guitars. So tell
Oh,
you
big time.
you showed me a prototype a moment ago. Tell me
Yeah,
more about that whole genesis of what happened with designing guitars there.
sure. And I'm going to do a demo on this. This will never hit the market, but this is the prototype I showed Ubie. So that shape, this is
That's a
kind of
neat
how it all
shape.
came. Yeah, I love this because I learned on classical guitar and I can put it on the inside of my leg. So, and this should speak to the fans of guitar. There is, I was always surfing Guitar Player magazine online, Guitar One. Uh, I loved them when they had hard copies and then they moved online. So one day I see an advertisement for Frank Stallone guitars, and I was in the market for a double cut Les Paul. Now, Les Paul standards from the late 90s were my favorite Gibsons. Beautiful 2 octave fretboard, but so expensive, right? You're not getting into one of those for less than 2 grand at this point,
Like,
even 20 years old. But that was the offering that Frank Stallone guitars had. It was Korean made, and the headstock, the original headstock, had a little cutout in it, and there was actually like an inlaid cross, like an abalone cross. And I'd been working as a worship leader for so long, so everything about that guitar they released at first spoke to me, and I think it was like 500 or 600 bucks new. So I had started a YouTube channel called Stuttering Guitarist, where I would literally just play guitars and put text, because after the injury, I couldn't put 2 sentences together most times. It's much better, but if I get stressed or when the weather's bad, I kind of break down. But anyway, I reached out and said, hey, like how many of us have done, I'd like to demo your guitars for you. And I don't want anything, send it to me, I'll send it back, etc. When GJ, the CEO, and he let me know this later, he got hundreds of those emails. The second you start a company, you get flocked with people who want free stuff, right?
yeah.
That's just reality. And even on YouTube, someone's in the comments, oh, I would love to have your blank, or I wish I could. And you feel bad. And of course, you'd love to send them stuff, but it's not pragmatic. We can't all do it. And so he said, okay, I'll give you a discount on the guitar. If I like the review you do, I'll make you an ambassador for the company. Get the guitar, I do some reviews. Ubie later, I'll send you some links from those early reviews. Um, they made me an ambassador. And so I would make little mini commercials for them playing the Tiger guitar. And I would talk to GJ all the time. Well, they wanted to introduce USA made guitars, and they're working on one model. At that time, I had been working on my own design. I'm a big Telecaster fan, probably not as big as Ted, but close ish. And so I was looking up those guitar kits you can get where all the pieces are in them. And there's a wood mill up the street where I could just draw on any modifications I wanted to make. And Gigi had said they were looking at this. I said, "Oh, it's funny. I'm designing this." He said, "Oh, would you be interested in letting us look at that model?" So then I start prototyping. I had a CNC shop in Ohio that I would call. And this is, if you go to Reverb and look up guitar bodies, you'll see companies that actually make them in the US, and they have the specs for original 50s and 60s guitars in their software. So it's in this era, you can start picking and choosing, saying, man, I love the Strat layout of controls, cut into the body or a pick guard, but I prefer the Telecaster square heel. The resonance sounds better to me, and the Telecaster shape. And maybe I don't want a pick guard. So you start making adjustments, came up with the HSH shape. And for the single coil, I used a P90 because that was Johnny Lang's setup. He had a semi-hollow telly that he would use like that. And I loved the sound. I wanted something thicker in the middle than a regular single coil. Basically, I came up with some ideas to cut costs, like instead of doing a chambered body, cut 2 sets of control panels like this, one on each side, and then you can still cut an F hole and get the resonance, but you don't have to do a glued on top. So it lightens the body. I wanted pine. Pine's light. I think it sounds beautiful. And anyway, I start doing this. I go to an automotive body shop. I have one I call Optimus. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite prototypes. It's made with primer, so Optimus primer, and gray primer. And I had it done at a collision shop, Detroit, Motor City. And I just started sending them out. And I did, okay, Frank wants a neck that feels like this. Here are all the dimensions. Okay, send that over to the people I'm having necks made by. And then I found, once we agreed on a design and a paint style, I found a custom shop in Las Vegas that cuts their own bodies. They have their own neck design that they make, and they wind their own pickups. So everything was made under one roof, and they're producing the Stallion. It was, I want to say it was about 4 years of prototyping and work through lockdowns. So lockdown slowed everything down quite a bit, and companies just started running out of parts. So it was harder and harder to get it made. But after, I think I made 7 prototypes, there are still 4 of them that are working that I didn't chop to death. And that's, now if you go to frankstalloneguitars.com, you'll still see the Stallion for sale, and under About Us, you'll see my picture about 2/3 down the page as an ambassador and the designer of the Stallion.
So I'm curious. You mentioned you took your guitars to an auto body shop to get painted.
Yeah.
How was that conversation? Had they done that before or anything like that, or?
They hadn't, and I tried 2 of them. But basically, you start to learn the secret to saving money. I hate to sound like that, but I'm kind of a coupon guy. And I knew First Automotive Paint has a very good process for filling and priming. Very, not dissimilar to what guitarists would do, but they can do it way faster. And so I know they would have leftover paint. My original idea was to sit, just, you get what you get, like the Dum Dums question mark suckers, those are the flavors they get when they change the run.
Yeah.
So I just called them and I said, hey, do you have spare paint? Would you do a guitar body? I don't know. So I drive down there. I tried 2 different shops out. He goes, well, we have, one said, I have this leftover Sparkle Black. Perfect. try that. The other place, they didn't have anything, but they said, you might like the color of the primer if you want a satin feel, and they can put any dye they want into their primer paint. No, they don't have to buy a certain color of primer. So I tried those two models, but eventually they wanted kind of a high-end gloss standard color, so that we had to switch to a guitar shop that would do that. But yeah, the automotive shops, and this is just be creative, just call and ask. They have downtime and they have surplus. So if you have a local car shop and you have a guitar you want repainted, say, hey, is there anyone who would do this on their spare time or whatever? And they'll cut you a deal because they can make a couple bucks off of something they might have to dispose of later.
Right. And
just to be honest,
I honestly think that a lot of those guys and gals that do that stuff, they see something like a request like that come in, and they're probably like, man, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
They can put it on the website, and everyone wins.
Yeah,
so it's just learned. I was in outside sales for 15 years, and I just learned how to make phone calls. They give you a list of 300 people, and you just stop being afraid to call people and waste their time.
Stop being afraid to get hung up on and call.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I can't even tell you the sayings because they have some colorful language, but it's basically for every yes, you're going to experience 100 no's in whatever form they may come.
Oh, I feel bad for the people that do the cold calls, but it gets pretty ridiculous, and I'm probably guilty of not being the nicest to it. As soon as you buy a house, people are calling you and wanting to buy it from you. Like, it's nonstop.
Or fix it.
Or fix it. No, I don't get those. Everybody wants to buy my house, and they want to buy my ex-wife's house. I'm like, it's hers. Call her. And stop bothering me.
Just because I'm paying for it doesn't mean I own it. No,
I don't even pay for it. That's the thing.
Oh, good
I don't even
for
pay
you.
for it. I'm like, stop bothering me. I don't own it. Talk to whatever. It's annoying, but yeah, I feel for those people and anybody in customer support that gets the brunt of people not being polite to them. They're just doing their job.
Yeah.
So I try my hardest to be nice.
You know what? And I shouldn't say that, but that's the greatest practice for an inspiring musician, because once you get out in front of strangers, especially on YouTube, people are going to say unpleasant things, and hearing it enough times can help you to compartmentalize it. But as I sent in Ubie in an email, I deal with other mental issues that sometimes that's a big hang up. But if you're dealing with an outside salesperson, the biggest waste of time in sales is a maybe. You'd rather have a yes or a no. And if it's a no, just let them know right off the bat so they can move on with their lives, and you can too.
Yeah, you don't want to string them along. And that's actually a really good topic of discussion there, I think, Ubie, is that, the negativity that can come from putting yourself out there. I know that, Jeremy, you mentioned that you did a lot of solo shows on piano and doing, what was it, Billy Joel cover songs?
Oh, yeah. I have every song he ever wrote. I have 2 green books. They're called Billy Joel Complete. My best friend in high school got them for me. It's every album he ever did in order. And he just fit my style because Billy Joel kind of blended Bob Dylan. He could tell a story. He could paint a picture. Elton John, musically fantastic, but sometimes his lyrics were a little detached. I can't really identify with Crocodile Rock as hard as I try. I don't remember when Susie was young. But Billy Joel always seemed to just lay out his life story. Yeah, you could tell. I thought it was great. Very, very Dylan-esque to me.
He's definitely a songwriter. I mean, I don't think Elton John wrote his songs. He wrote the music, but not the lyrics.
Yeah, Bernie Taupin wrote most of his lyrics. He did do some. And honestly, I like the Bernie Taupin stuff better.
Mm-hmm.
Geez, don't hear that.
Goodbye Yellow Brick Road is one of my favorite all-time songs.
I have a Billy Joel cover of it. He did it live in concert.
Oh, really?
When they were touring together, they did each other's songs. Oh, it's so good, so good.
So,
but yeah, I love.
Back to something. I'm sorry. Circling back to something that you had just mentioned was dealing with the mental issues. Now,
Yeah.
even those who aren't necessarily directly plagued by hardcore mental issues run into mental issues as a musician in general and a guitarist specifically.
Yes.
But yours are a little bit more acute.
Yeah.
If you feel free to do so, dive in a little deeper about what you actually have to struggle with.
Sure. So I was diagnosed as being chemically depressed in 2006. So 10 years before I got hurt. So that was already something I dealt with as a musician. Music attracts people with low self-esteem, and that is such a weird combination, art in general, because you do so much by yourself and in your own head, but then you have to present it to people, and that's a nightmare for someone with depression. Because I was in the middle of a show once, somebody walked up and said, "Hey, do you mind turning that down? We're trying to eat." I was playing in a college cafeteria. That was some bad feedback, right? But personally, after I was hurt, assaulted, basically the judge called it. Um, what had happened is I was laying on the ground and I was punched. I was wearing a helmet. It was actually during a pickup hockey game, roller hockey. And when the guy kept punching on the helmet, my brain touched in the front and the back. And sorry, guys.
Take your time.
Everything I had got so much worse. So I spent a month in a blindfold, and it just kept getting slowly worse for a few days. I tried to go back to work, and I was on a conference call, and all of a sudden I started stuttering. And this was a big account I was working on closing. And after the call, the engineer called me, called my boss, and said, "There's something very wrong." And I was thrown onto disability. I was tested, um, and basically, and put into therapy because they determined the depression I already had was going to get much worse. When you have a closed head injury, it doesn't really heal because oxygen is needed to heal. You can do hyperbaric stuff, but once there's damage to your brain, it's not going to heal up. And you see that with former athletes, CTE type issues. Luckily, mine's nothing near what they're dealing with. So you add PTSD to it, and a pretty severe concussion. So all of a sudden, I have to sit in the dark. I can't stand light at all. I have sunglasses on. I told you guys these are prescription. Um, light hurts, uh, and when it's going to rain, everything gets much worse. So now I deal with panicking. This is 9 years later now, and it's gotten better. But I've been in therapy for PTSD. I have medication for the depression and pain medication because the headaches don't stop. It's 24 hours a day. So I deal with all that. Pain makes depression worse. Depression makes pain worse, and it's a pretty nasty cycle. So that's kind of what I juggle. I haven't been able to go back to work, and every year I have to prove that I'm still disabled to a panel of doctors and get approved to stay on disability. Well, that's kind of what life
Really rough.
became.
Yeah, that is rough.
Yeah, that's rough. Now, I'm assuming though that one of the things that actually kind of helps you get, because I know for me, whenever I struggle, because I struggle obviously with depression and anxiety, and I've got serious back issues as well. Not quite disability level, but I'm on that edge. So again, nowhere near as acute as what you deal with, but I understand that reaching that place where you've got so many emotions you can't process them. You're kind of dull, with it. And that's actually for me, music helps me get those emotions out. Is that the kind of release that it kind of helps you with, or?
Absolutely. The benefit of learning piano first was always being used to doing something different with your left hand and your right hand. that stimulates and engages both sides of the brain. You know, we learn kind of early on, your left hand stimulates your right side, your right hand stimulates your left. And so, especially finger picking guitar, where you're doing two completely unique motions, or playing solo work over chords. And for me, when I add singing to it, it's like a therapy session. You're engaging all these places, your brain releases certain chemicals, and for some reason, language is kept in a different section of the brain than singing.
Hmm.
So even while I was struggling with speaking issues, I could still sing. Kind of funny.
Example.
One of the nurses had me sing a vocal exercise because I couldn't speak the exercise while I was in the hospital early on. But
That is interesting. I did not know that.
Well,
it's
think about
very
some of the greats, like Mel Tellis, for example. Outstanding singing voice, but he had a terrible speech impediment.
Yeah,
it's
I think you're right there. And as far as music and playing guitar goes, I mean, yeah, I feel you. It is a good escape. It's fantastic therapy, especially if you sing, and then you add all those different factors and those variables, like you were mentioning, right hand, left hand, and then you add finger picking, right? And then okay, and then you have five fingers on your picking hand. What if you want to do Travis picking in a walking bass line with your thumb, and then you have the other fingers there, and you're working, and then you're singing on top of that? That takes a lot of brain power, and it just puts you in a certain kind of zen state. At least it does for me, where you're just
absolutely.
not thinking about, basically everything else melts away because you're just so concentrated, and your brain's just like, just imagine if they put what is it, one of those, an MRI on your brain while you're doing all that stuff. It just probably just lights up like a Christmas tree.
Yes.
And it's one of those things, use it or lose it, and your brain is one of those things. You get to work it
It
out.
also releases certain painkillers in
Hmm.
your brain. And if you look this up online, there's a guy who was playing guitar during his own brain surgery. Uh,
Yeah, I've
thankfully,
seen
they
that
only
one.
show the guitar part.
I saw that actually.
Yes.
This was like in the 90s. Are you talking about the same one?
It's
Or
been
early
done again a few
2000s?
times recently. There's
Yeah,
been a
there was
few
a
more recent
recent
ones.
one
Yep.
also, but there have been several others
They
about
show,
that.
I saw the, maybe it was in the late 90s or early 2000s where they were doing brain surgery, and they had him sing because he was
Yep.
a guitar player during that, to make I guess their thing was sing to make sure that we're not doing the wrong thing when we're inside your head. Oh,
Yeah,
that just icks me out
and
thinking about it.
there's ones who were pianists that were playing piano and stuff like that for as
Because you don't
stuff as
feel
well.
it in your brain. I mean, you're probably going to feel the skull part, but not the brain.
Really, there's
So
no
it's,
pain receptors in your brain?
I guess
No,
not.
it doesn't. It doesn't have any actual nerve endings in the brain.
Oh.
There's lots of the neurons and stuff, but no actual nerve endings in the brain itself. There was a question from the chat for you, Jeremy.
Oh,
Snug
really?
wanted to know: have you ever tried drumming? Talking about using different things with each hand.
Yeah. I have my Ubie mugs on the way. I can only handle a certain level of suck from myself, and drumming, I am I am beyond deficient in adding in those extra, everything else. But if I had any ability at all on the set, I absolutely would. And you can now get electronic sets for under $100, in even decent sounding ones. They're getting so much better and so much less expensive. So you could do that and relax. I've thought about getting one of those drum pads, the 4 disc versions, because I can do that okay, or do hand drums. So yeah, it's very similar, but I'm so awful at it. It's just not worth the mental anguish.
Drumming, it is difficult. It's so difficult to keep. I have played drums maybe once or twice, and once you get that, the kick snare down with your timing, then
Yeah.
it's a whole new world. But I don't know. It's a
I have
very
I have no
mathematical
rhythm.
thing. What was that,
I
Ubie?
have zero rhythm, so I have no rhythm at all. So there's no point in me even trying to play drums. I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be like a cat running across a countertop with a bunch of dishes and chinas laddering everywhere.
Um, I want to hit up a comment here, Chris, aka CD Nelson. Which, by the way,
Hey, CD.
I made him a super moderator, so he could keep Brian from searching for tone in line. He's a troublemaker around these parts.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's got
Yeah.
a foul mouth. No, I'm kidding,
So,
Brian. Kidding.
CD, Chris, please, that hammer is yours to wield. So, keep him in line, please. And if 2 yards gets here, him too. He's a troublemaker as well. Of course, I'm kidding with all this stuff, but Chris. No, I'm not kidding with the hammer. Chris has got the hammer, but he did mention singing and playing at the same time, which it's a difficult thing for a lot of people. And I wanted to hit up on that actually because that it does require that extra brain work. And then you could do it with piano, Jeremy, and probably guitar as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. I've done guitar and voice for a long time now. So yeah.
So I couldn't imagine being able. That's like learning languages, and you're fluent in both guitar and piano while singing. That's really impressive. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that out there.
Thanks.
Singing and playing guitar, it just takes practice. It's gonna be really hard. The biggest hurdle with singing and playing at the same time, in my opinion, is your strumming hand motion, because once it's hard to keep that in sync when you're trying to sing at the same time, because there's going to be different cadences problem for the most part. It just takes practice. It's all it is. It's going to suck. It's going to sound horrible for a
I'm
long time, but
I'm gonna have to ask you to stop using swear words on this stream. We do not use the P word on this stream or in guitar in general.
practice,
Practice. We
practice,
don't
practice.
Oh,
practice.
good
God.
grief.
I was like, what did
That
I
is not
say?
what I was thinking. I was
What
going
P
through all
word
the
are you
P
talking
words in
about?
my head. I was like, what did he call me?
All right.
I
We
mean,
have
I don't fight, but it doesn't mean I can't.
practice. Practice is not in our dictionary. Yeah, it's very much in my dictionary. I love practicing because
I
it
do
doesn't feel
too.
like practice, but um, it does take practice. But the more you play it, the more you mess around with it. Look, that's all I do, and that's all I've done, because I did the same deal with solo things, and I did the whole coffee shop thing back in the day, and I still go to open mics every now and then until YouTube completely dominated what I do with the guitar. But it's fun, man. Once you can play songs, they don't have to be your own. So I love playing my own songs, but once you can play other people's songs, um, it's that's a meditative state that I get into, that just it's so cool, the feeling of playing a song,
It's
and it sounds all like to yourself, because basically you're singing to yourself. You're playing 99% of your time in your house, and your family's sick of probably hearing the same songs over and over, but you're not, because you're playing it, and it just makes you feel good. It takes you into a certain state. But yeah, it takes a lot of practice to do that, and coordination. I couldn't imagine how you do it with piano. I mean, I
You
can't
know,
wrap my
so
hands
I'll give
around
you a
that.
couple of cheat codes on that. One thing that attracted me to players like Billy Joel and Elton John, they riff when they're playing, but they'll hold chords while they're singing a lot of times. So even on guitar, one of the first things I did was, yeah, I'd play an intro, but then I'd just strum the chord, sing, strum the chord, sing, let it resonate, and then work the rhythm into it.
Hmm.
So give yourself that opportunity, that little bit of a cheat. And when I was running a worship team, I got to work with kids with oh, uh, kids on the spectrum. They had a lot of communication issues, and when there were people, this one kid, his hands would actually shake. So I would have him do songs and do distorted guitar just on the chorus, and said, okay, his name was Chris. I'd say, Chris, just hit the chord and hold it, and then hit the next chord and hold it. And he could do that and be part of the group and let his nerves kind of work themselves out without, you know, trying to hit the strings a bunch of times. So those little techniques that you can even pass it off as being a musical choice, just hit the chord, And when you're sitting on the couch and practicing and playing, just give yourself some stability in one of the areas while you have to practice the other.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, and whatever you do, look, Chris mentioned Wonderwall. Um, I want you to play that until your family knows all the lyrics and they sing it to themselves in their sleep. They probably already do because everybody's heard that song a trillion times. And it's probably
Could
one
be
of the.
worse.
It's
It could be worse.
what else?
For Mia Jane, my granddaughter, I'm learning the Rat Dance meme song.
Okay, that's a kid song. Probably was it from Bluey or something? I don't know.
No, it's just one of those meme internet
Oh,
songs.
I don't. Yeah.
It's
Well,
it's an earworm, and yeah, it's
I look forward to
gonna
hearing
drive
that.
Brandy nuts.
Speaking of
I'm working on a metal cover, and I'm gonna have Bill come and help me with it.
who's Bill?
The Guitar Pit of Horrors. That's
Oh
his name is
gosh.
Bill.
Okay. Well, I don't know his first name. Um.
You do now,
All right. There we go. Well.
or just call him. Just do what I do. I call him Bull instead of Bill because somebody called him Bull one day, and that's a much better nickname for
Okay.
him.
I mean, when we're talking Bills, you could think of Ted because Ted kind of sounds like a Bill Clinton. I mean, it's pretty copacetic, right? Um, oh wait, okay. Look, he said Oasis. I don't. Can I switch subjects to Oasis real quick, Ubie?
Go ahead.
Are you guys fans of
It's your show,
Oasis? Are
technically.
you guys fans with Oasis?
I'm fans of their
I
fights on
listen to Oasis.
stage.
Okay. I grew up in the 90s and that was one of my top bands and completely different than what Bill plays. Cuz I don't know, grew up in the alternative scene. I guess Oasis is not alternative. You call them pop or rock and roll, whatever. Man, they are touring
Contemporary.
again. They are touring again, and that got me so excited. But the tickets are so expensive, and they're not coming to too many places here in the United States. So I fell off of that pretty quick. But yeah, their fights on stage.
Beautiful to
Yeah.
watch. I have 14 siblings. My parents are both married
Wow.
4 times, and I love watching sibling fights because I can critique them. I can do play by play on sibling fights. But Oasis, apart from a great sound, a wide open sound, kind of akin to U2 a little bit in just the guitar specter, but they had this Epiphone release with the Union Jack on it.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a Casino? It was is some beautiful arch
Yeah.
top, and I love that Union Jack. My stepdad that raised me was from Reading, England, and I love even the Vox little mini Beetle amps with the Union Jack on them,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounds good. An Epiphone through a Vox just has a very special sound.
He said, or Snug D said, my favorite thing from Oasis is the interview where they're griping about someone, George Harrison and Paul McCartney, and keep calling him a nipple. Those guys, man, look, here's the thing about everybody likes to call them, and justifiably so, just they're not snobs, they're just assholes, right?
Right.
But the thing about Noel, the older brother, the guy with talent that could write the songs, I'm not saying Liam doesn't have talent because he could sing his head off, but Noel Gallagher writes bangers of songs, and that's
Yes.
undeniable. He that was the first time I've seen that Union Jack guitar, which is amazing. I've seen there's a couple things about him. First is he's not really as big of an asshole as you probably think he is. He's a very down to earth guy from the interviews that I've seen, and apparently he gives a lot of money to charity, like
Oh yeah.
like more than other people. He tours and does all this stuff. I think he gives like 90% of all his income to charity and things like that, just from the nature of him just wanting to give back. I don't think the same. I don't think his brother's doing the same thing. But the second thing I wanted to
Gives a
talk.
lot to rehab.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah, he
Rehab?
gives a lot of his income to rehab, and I admire him for it.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know that, and that's even more admirable because he's not putting it out there saying, "Look here, I donate all my money." I can't do an English accent.
I suck too, and I grew up around it.
I could do a good Beatles accent. Hey, George, why are you playing that
all right,
song, George?
I'm going to be clipping that out for use at a later date there.
Oh crud! I forgot. Ubie's a tech meister.
That's fine. You could
No
clip it
sound
out.
bites.
But Noel Gallagher is very well known, and he admits it. He steals other people's songs, and ideas and melodies and stuff, and puts it to his own. And in interviews, he's like, "Yeah, I stole that. Here's my accent. Yeah, I stole that. And guess what? Y'all gonna buy it, and you did 20 million times." It's just like he just completely blatantly like he's like somebody said that song sounds like a T-Rex song. I think they were referring to cigarettes and alcohol. It was like, yeah, that's a T-Rex song, and I completely stole it, and you guys loved it. Sue me.
Well, I don't know if you saw. This has started to make the rounds. An old Tommy Iommi interview
Mm.
where it might have been Smoke on the Water. He basically inverted part of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. He took the music, inverted it, and took the chords of what they would have been reverse to write part of Smoke on the Water. And John Williams, Star Wars fame, my former sister-in-law did her entire thesis on the music that he had stolen. It might have been Stravinsky, but you basically heard this symphony and just the melody of Star Wars on top of it. And we all steal. There are only so many riffs, and there's only 12 notes if you include semitones
Yeah,
in
there's
a
only
full
12
octave
semitones.
scale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's impossible. And this is actually a great topic you could do a whole show on. We drive ourselves crazy to do something truly original when a 145, a 645, a 1645,
Mm-hmm.
you can do 90% of your repertoire based on those chords. And two songs that came out that kind of changed my perspective on music were Blues Travelers Runaround, and it came out at the same time as Sister Hazel's All For You. Same exact chords for the chorus, and Blues Traveler never changes the chords. It's those four chords over and over and over. Sister Hazel has a different verse, but same exact 1451. And it was, you could sing the songs on top of each other, and yeah, it's the same exact chords.
Those songs sound like they're the same band,
Yeah,
pretty
Well,
they
much.
literally
if you
do.
really want, if you want a good study in it that's also funny, go check out the Axis of Evil's four chord song, where they literally deconstruct every
I
major pop
did.
song that has been written in the past forever,
Yeah.
I
and you
love that.
literally can play them right over each other, and the those guys are just great musicians, hilarious in general.
Yes.
But
Is it like a
You know why we're
one?
not famous? It is a
we never wrote a
1451.
four chord song.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is.
Is it 1451? It's not like a 165. I don't know. That the same thing as like what is it? Let It Be is that progression?
Think of every Disney princess song in the last
Yeah.
decade. And I think they actually played most of them. But if you want to give chills, you start on the six, right? And that would be what Let It Go from Frozen and How Far I'll Go. Oh God, the lyrics are even the same from Moana. Both have that minor six in there, but the chorus is always that either 6451 or 1451.
So I'm gonna. It's hard to get up because my dog sits right behind my chair. But I was gonna share. I have a chart that shows all the chords that are in a key, right? So I'm looking at it now, and I use this all the time. So if I'm looking at a D, and the 1 3, what is it? The 1 4 and 5, and the major.
145.
Those are all major, and then you have the minors, and then you have the what is it? Diminished seventh. Is it the sixth?
Yeah.
Seven's diminished.
You have a
The
perfect
seventh.
fourth
The seventh.
and a diminished seventh. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that one has a weird name too. What is it? Seven, flat five. Um, but yeah, if you ever get stuck, and here's just a tip. This is not a secret, right? You have those charts, or you don't even need a chart. Just go on Google and say chords in the key of whatever it is, and it'll show you all the chords that fit within it. I have 2 videos on that. You just follow those chords, and you'll never be stuck. You'll never miss a chord instead of just hunting around for a different chord or something that fits, which I think everybody does. Everybody did it before they knew. And the thing is this is not a secret. It's never been a secret. It's always been out there. I don't know why people don't teach that. I mean, I think the problem with music education, and this is another big topic, is that it's so rote and dry that by the time your required band from middle school is over with, a lot of kids don't want to have anything to do with music because they're learning, what is it? Mary Had a Little Lamb, and they're learning how to read music. It's just not fun. It's just sterile,
Yeah.
dry, and a lot of people give up on it. And you do a lot of you're doing teaching too in your YouTube
Yeah.
channel. And I was watching a few of those, as you know, because I commented on a couple of your videos, which I think they're
Thank
awesome.
you. Thanks,
And
man.
um, I think I asked you a question about the minor scale, and
Yes, is the Aeolian mode.
yeah, and then you
Yep.
Mhm.
here's the thing about your response, that got me is that it's simple, right? When you think about it, you have to be taught a certain way to think about it. And in your head, it's simple. But the response that I got from you is like, that would probably turn off, like me and you talking to each other on that.
Yeah.
People would read that and be like, no, I still don't. That just made it more confusing. That just,
Yeah.
it, and it's kind of
See,
scary.
you think that, but I didn't really dive hard into music theory myself until I actually sat and watched somebody who wasn't afraid to just directly talk about it and not care whether you got it or not.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
it drew
sure.
me into it. I watched what drew me into music theory was Doug Helbering. He's a composer and he does breakdowns of songs. And he started doing a Metal Monday, and so of course, you know, okay, I'm there because I'm a metal guy. But then he started talking about he's you know he is a composer and perfect pitch and all those sort of things. And so the riff starts and like, okay, they're in this key, and oh wow, he threw a flat six in there, and I'm like, okay, what is a flat six? So that's what actually it wasn't that he was trying to teach it to me. He was just he was on with this, and he was breaking down and dissecting songs I loved in for their music theory, and that got me going into, okay, I need to learn this music theory part. So don't ever worry about whether what you're talking about is going to turn somebody else off or not. The right person is going to go, okay, I need to figure out what the heck they're saying because they're saying something important.
Right. And then when I was watching Jeremy's videos, like I get it, like, and this is not, I'm not knocking you at all on it. That wasn't meant to be that way because I understood what you were saying. But
Right.
I think whenever you throw out modes and things like that,
Yeah.
it just scares a lot of people, and
It,
that's why
it does.
that's why I really haven't. I delved into modes one time, and that was for a Nirvana song because I think Kurt Cobain inadvertently used a Dorian mode as one of his solos for that song. I think it's called Sappy. I don't
Yeah.
think he knew what he was like. He didn't set out to say I'm playing this in D Dorian. No, he just played whatever major scale and walked up the fretboard. But
Yeah.
it does it when you start going into look, when you start going into anything other than a minor pentatonic scale, people are just going to jump off right away. A good contingent of
Right.
people are, and that's something that a lot of people have to. Well, how do you get past that? Is the question.
Yes. And so my approach, and the whole reason I started the modes lesson, and in the introduction, I talked about this. I listed it as there's two modes you already know, but you don't know it. And that was the major scale and the minor scale, which is Ionian and Aeolian.
Right.
And I approached it first with the tactile, the pentatonic scale we all learn without knowing it's called the pentatonic scale. People just teach you where to put your fingers. So I created. I'm sure other people have done it, but for myself, I created a box form based on the pentatonic scale so that your hands could move about the same for every single mode in a scale. And on my own, when I'm practicing, I will do 6 of the 7 modes just in the same key. So I'll do it one after the other and just crack them off. And I wanted that for myself. But what I'm doing each week is saying, okay, so I've done Ionian and Aeolian. Aeolian, all I had to teach was you just add these 2 notes.
Mm-hmm.
You already know 5. Here's how you do it. Add these 2, and that will give you more tools to solo with. Ionian, very different, very much more confusing. But each week I try to go back to here's what you probably already know. Start from there and add this. Don't get frustrated. Take it a piece at a time And that's also why I only do one a week now, because you do have to digest it. But modes and for guitar, alternate tuning, that phrase scared the crud out of me. And the Goo Goo Dolls were so big when I was learning to
Yeah,
play guitar. And Johnny Resnick only does alternate tunings. I don't think he ever does standard tuning.
he doesn't. The thing about him is he had no formal training and he didn't know how to
Oh
make
my gosh.
sounds. He didn't know how to make sounds out of his guitar, so he just messed around with the tuning pegs until he got a good sounding open chord. It worked. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that guy is, for what he did, it's pretty amazing. Alternate tunings, man, I was so huge into all. I kind of did the same thing inadvertently, made up alterations of alternate tunings and messed around with that. But there's only so far that I can go with some of those, but yeah, just when you, here's the thing, just when you think you've got a lot of this stuff in your head, and then it's just like, I'll just use this as an analogy. You play a video game, you beat it, and then you're like, okay, I mastered this. And then it's like, no, you're gonna replay the whole thing, but upside down and backwards with different bosses, right? That's
Yeah.
that's where alternate tunings are for me. It's just like, okay, now you've mastered that. I'm not saying I mastered anything. It's just like there's just a never-ending journey to learn this thing. It's just impossible to understand and know everything. And it's one thing to know everything. It's another thing to put it into practice.
Yeah. And
Uh,
that's it. There's
That
only so many
yeah,
practical things I can do. And I did a
exactly.
drop D
That's
tuning lesson because
yeah,
of that, just to say, first, don't let the name scare you. You literally just take an E and turn it into a D. You drop down the lower string. But what I pointed out was when I'm playing worship music and I hit a D chord, it's just weak and thin. It's only four strings. In drop D, boom, it's the full fretboard. And you're pretty much playing in G and A and D most of the time. And so it was just, and what got me to start trying drop D was Eddie Van Halen's drop D tuna. I was like, oh, that's all it is. You just pull that peg and you turn the E into a D. And then once I started using it, I couldn't stop because I could do single note power chords or single finger power chords,
yeah.
right? You
You can
just,
bar a power chord. Mhm.
yeah. And I did an entire lesson called the cheat code,
yeah,
the
this is a
drop
cheat
D
code.
power chord cheat code. It is.
Yep.
But you're right. The language we use in an education, this is where we screwed up. The language is exclusive and sometimes on purpose. Sometimes you want to say, oh, you should do a tertian harmony there. And someone looks at you, well, it just means you're singing a third up. Well, most of us will understand just going up two notes. But someone used the word tertian, you think that they've got soiled underpants, but it's but it's just you're using language to make people feel dumb sometimes. And at the School of Music, there are people that wanted people to feel dumb.
I think that's so
Yeah,
stupid. Like that,
it was gatekeeping.
Yeah.
it's
Yes,
gate,
gatekeeping.
perfect
Thank you.
word for it. And look, there's basically there's a lot of people that want it to be a mystery and they want it to be mystified. And
Yeah.
I don't. I'm of the mindset of, let's teach in practical terms for people to understand and to be able to
Yes.
use it. And there and enforcing the fact there's no secret here. Music has been around since humans have been around, and we
Right.
the first human song in history was "The Longest Time" by Billy Joel. I think that was the first ever
Absolutely.
song ever
That
in
was right.
history.
Yeah.
The
I
cavemen were
think
singing
that
it.
all 12 apostles knew it
Yeah,
and they knew how to do it in different keys.
perfect harmony and all that. But
That's
but that's the thing. It should there shouldn't be a mystery. I think no, I don't think there's this guy. His name is Adam Gusso. He is a harmonica player, a blues harmonica player, and his whole mission back, he started his stuff in like 2008 or 9 or something like that, was to demystify the harmonica and how to do that. And I watched all this stuff and I learned how to play harmonica just through his YouTube lessons. But he's like enforcing the fact, I'm showing you all this stuff because there shouldn't be a mystery. A
Yep.
lot of the blues folks back in the day, they didn't want to teach you. You have to go to the crossroads and sell your soul to the devil to learn this stuff. You're not going to learn it from me. No, they went to woodshed. They learned it from other people. It shouldn't be a mystery. And that's what
well, and
problem
you
with,
think
yeah.
about it, the blues in particular, that came from a group. of people who were sometimes illiterate. They had no music theory. They just knew what sounded good. And it, I learned blues harp too. I used to actually play harmonica as my primary instrument on tour. I'd do some blues traveler covers, really one. But I got a book called Country and Blues Harmonica for the Musically Hopeless. I loved it. It was by the Klutz catalog people that do
Yeah.
juggling books and things like that.
Yep.
Comes with a harmonica, teaches for stupid people like me. And I try to tell people I use music theory because I'm not smart enough to come up with it on my own. Eddie Van Halen couldn't read music. Jimi Hendrix couldn't read music. Eddie Van Halen was accepted into Juilliard on piano. And he would have his piano teacher play a song, learn it that way, and just repeat it. And he apparently had a successful audition to Juilliard. There was an interview from Guitar Player magazine you can look up from him, and he talks about that. And it's like he could hear the music once and play it. So I wonder if he was borderline on the spectrum, because that's kind of a tribute we associate with that. But yet, it's just a tool. It's just words and tools to help you understand what Steve Vai just did, because I can't describe it. I can't just do it. I need to figure out and break it down into pieces.
Hold on. Why do we have you on the show if you can't do everything Steve Vai does? I mean,
I don't know. Honestly, I think it was a problem with the
we
scheduler.
we made a mistake.
I didn't vet our guest well
I
enough.
mean,
Unfortunately.
to get on the show, you had to do "For the Love of God" by Steve Vai perfectly.
Oh, I just watched a video of that. I love with him doing it with an orchestra.
That's
Very, very cool.
that-
I can't. I didn't have to do that because instead I'd played Flight of the Wounded Bumblebee, the Nuno Betancourt version. So that got me in.
Oh man, that by the way, "For the Love of Guitars" is a play off of "For the Love of God" by Steve Vai. I don't know, man.
Great song.
To get as good as him, that's a 22-hour a day, 10-year, 24/7 deal. I don't
So
understand.
he's part of why I started playing guitar.
Yeah, a lot of
I
people.
played piano up until 20, but I saw the movie Crossroads and his guitar duel at the end with
Cutting
actually
heads.
himself. Yeah, it was unbelievably good. Eugene's Trick Bag, I actually have the tablature to that. Still don't know it. But Steve Vai, he got me into carving guitars as well. I used to pore over those catalogs back in the 90s and 2000s. And he talked about when everything he does is incredibly complex, but he wants it to be simple. So you look at his pedal board, maybe 3-4 pedals, usually a Boss, a wah, one of those Boss orange pedals, a wah pedal, and a couple other things. But he said when he's designing amps and things, he has to learn all this information, but then makes himself forget it, so he just plugs in and plays. And those legacy amplifiers, if you ever get to plug into one, oh my gosh, they are beautiful. Best clean tone in an amp in a tube amp I've ever played was a Legacy 3. Just awesome.
Please,
Analog,
Jones.
analog Ubie. You get with the times.
No, the analog. I'm okay with analog. You just don't take my gain. Get your hands away from my gain pedal and my gain knob.
Man, this is,
I like a little bit of breakup usually, but
this is why this is a good little pairing here, is because I'm the clean guy and you're the distortion guy, Ubie.
well,
You know,
James Hetfield had a
we're-
jazz chorus on one side and a Marshall on the other, and eventually
we're starting to run a little bit on the long side here.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if we're going down this road,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask the same question. So and you claim to be almost as big of a tele guy as Ted. So traditional barrels or modern saddles?
for personal use, traditional barrels, it's not even close. But brass barrels, and if Wilkinson makes a bridge that's like a chopped modified bridge, so it's a little ashtray bridge they called them because that's how they used them, and it's got the 3 barrels, but they're made of brass, and Wilkinson adjusted them so that the strings stay put. Intonations can be a bear, but I had to switch to the 6 saddles for the production model because so many people need perfect intonation for recording. And that's changed the industry so much, is the need for quote perfection on an album, and that's, you have auto tune and things like that. So I
Yeah.
prefer Brass Saddles. It's not even close.
I mean, it's, you know what, you're really good at just having the wrong opinion, Jeremy.
So
I mean,
that
first
no,
Red Wings,
he's right.
then the Barrels.
He's right. He's right, and you're wrong. It's 2-1. That's how it works.
It's a democracy of
That's
tone.
that's how it works. 2 out of the 66% Ubie. So you know what? That would be the perfect opportunity to end the show with a wonderful take on a not really controversial anymore topic, because he's right. Jeremy's right.
Tell
So,
my wife, please. I've had 26 years practice of being wrong. Very, very, very wrong.
well, I just want to, before
All
we
right,
hit,
so
oh, go ahead, Obi.
I was going to say, Jeremy, go ahead and shell out what you've got.
Yeah.
You've got
Sure.
a lot of things moving, so let everybody know where they need to go find stuff that you do that they may not know about.
Okay, so my YouTube channel, Strings and Pucks, primarily. While I'm building the channel, I'm obviously not monetized. If you can, go to stutteringguitarist.com. That's my website. I have songs that are recorded for sale. You can even look my name up on iTunes or Google Play. Jeremy Laura. I have 2 albums and some singles. That would help tremendously, even just those 99-cent singles while I'm trying to build things up. And then if you go to Hockey Hot Stove, I write for them, for the Red Wings portion, run by Bill Meltzer. He's tremendous talent. And those are my primary areas. I'm doing lessons every week on Strings and Pucks now, and I've got another gear demo coming with that prototype this week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that demo and more of your lessons too.
Thanks, man.
So, I mean, this is a great guest here because Red Wings fans. I don't know anything about hockey, but that's my team. The saddle telly guy. So, and he's wearing flannel,
Yeah.
and he's got a backwards cap on.
Yes.
I mean, what? Man, well, this is a match made in heaven, Ubie.
Absolutely.
It's great, yeah. And everybody say bye to Jeremy. This is the last time we'll ever see him on the night again.
Ubie just buried me in the
Hold on,
algorithm.
he's part of the season 2 premiere. You didn't get
There
that
you
memo?
go.
Right?
No, but speaking of which, we absolutely have to have Jeremy back on because we have so many more topics we can talk
gosh,
about.
yeah,
We
absolutely.
could fill a couple more hours for him.
Yeah. What do you have to shill for us, Ubie?
What do we got coming up? I was going to start the Sunday recap stream this week, but I have had such a busy week that I did not get ready for that. So maybe next week. I don't know. What I am doing, though, is I have started streaming both in horizontal and vertical formats together. So I am currently, with the number of streams that I'm going to be doing, I am now literally streaming 12 days a week when you add the two streams together. That worked really well. So we'll probably continue it and move forward, especially people who are on phones. There was a lot of people are like, yeah, this format's so much better for phone. And we'll figure out a situation to fix the chat issue. But other than that, JRig, the JRig Mac is one step closer to being a reality. I have found, I think, where I can source the MacBooks. I just need to get enough cash together to get the R&D unit to verify that the rig is going to work correctly on it. So that should be coming. And if everything goes well, it's only going to be about 150 more than the JRig Core. So it's not a major price increase. And that's pure hardware. There's no markup on top of it. It's just a change in the hardware budget. There's also, I'm finalizing the JRig Creator, which is probably nobody will ever buy, but that's my actual rig. So that's the full desktop, big beefy computer, runs everything I run, the whole 9 yards. It's actually going to be, I'm actually going to source the exact same maker I made for my computer to make it. So basically it's going to be literally, you can have my rig as far as that's concerned. Otherwise, standard stream times, Monday 7 p.m. or Monday 8 p.m., Tuesday Tech Talk 7 p.m., and then noon on Wednesdays and Fridays.
Just the busiest man.
Super busy.
I guess we're all busy in some aspect. So as far as I'm concerned here, what am I doing? I got a release tomorrow. My stuff, although the stream is going to end for a month, my videos will not suffer a hiccup due to my vacation sandwich, because I film a week out and I'm one episode banked. I can't really go too far ahead because then I don't know how relevant my video would be by the time it comes out, although they're all lessons, so they're evergreen in nature, but so yeah, I got that coming out tomorrow morning at 11:30 a.m. That is Central Standard Time. And before we head out, just want to acknowledge a few folks. First of all, I need to get into the habit of acknowledging my patrons. I
Yes.
have I
Acknowledge me, damn it! I'm your first.
This is the
Patreon.
newest thing. So no,
Acknowledge me.
You use Brian's credit card, so I'm gonna say Brian from searching for tone, and then searching for tone Brian. Thank you, Brandy.
You want to know the funniest thing about that?
Yeah.
That was a joke, but in reality, so Patreon, for those of you who don't know, who are actually a Patreon creator who receives paid Patreons, when you go to subscribe to somebody, if you have a balance that hasn't been paid out, it'll go from that first. And Brian was the last person who paid up in mine, so technically Brian did pay for my Patreon in your Patreon.
Yeah, but then my Patreon turned around and paid yours, so it's just where's that money coming from then?
We're literally passing a dollar bill around amongst ourselves.
That's pretty funny. That's good way to run a business. This is not this is not a business, by the way. This is all.
Although it's called cooking the books in some areas, but yeah.
Yeah, we didn't realize that we're part of a money laundering scheme. That explains why I have a guitar here that fell off the back of a truck.
I love that truck.
So thank you to the patrons out there. Brian is one of them. John Dotson. I don't have the list up. I'm going by memory because I only have a few. Ted is up there, and Brandy Miller. I'm not going to say Ubie. Yeah, Ubie's there. Appreciate it, Ubie.
Brandy gave him permission.
So yeah, joining us today we had Willie's.
She controls the purse strings. There's no question about that.
Thank you, Willie. Willie's Tiki Hut and Guitar Shop. Thank you for joining. CD Nelson. That's Chris, Brian, Brandy, Steve Gunner made it. I didn't even see Steve sneak in. Snug D, Jade Guitars.
Jade.
Jude, who else do we got? I know Sean popped in for a little bit. Guitar Pit of Horrors. The Bull, Raging Bull. That's what I'll call him from now on. I think.
You know what the best part about that nickname is that I've started calling him Bull. Well, if you follow any of his shorts and any of his posts, we had an exchange. He now calls me Hemorrhoid.
Oh, a pain in the butt that grows on you.
There you go.
Time to get the Preparation H. Is that what that is?
Yeah. I'm itching just thinking about it.
The Ubie cure.
Sit on a porcupine.
Trust me, there is no cure for what I've got. They don't make a cream shot pill or anything.
Just sit on a hairbrush and wiggle. You'll be fine.
So we had Brant join us today. Brant's been knocking it out with his comedies, giving Brian a run for his money. I freaking love his little comedy routines he's going on there. And then, of course, Timothy Baby Boy Mulligan was in the house.
Oh, BBM.
Yeah. Lots of good creators here. So I think that's it. That's all we have for today. So this is marking the end of Season 1, the inaugural season of the FTL podcast. We will be back in a month, and we may or may not have a special guest, and we may or may not have a new permanent co-host.
I'm being voted off the island. Now that we control a majority, I'm out of here.
When everybody agrees on everything, it's not fun, right? So there's got to be a yin to the yang there. So, well, that concludes today's episode. So I appreciate everybody for joining, and you have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And talk to you later. Bye.